It is Canada's self-described greenest radio station. CFRM and Country 103 broadcast in Little Current on Manitoulin Island. And the electricity it needs to blast out its country and top 40 music is all generated by green energy sources. Let's get the story from Craig Timmermans, who joins us now via Skype from Little Current, Ontario. He owns and operates Country 103 and CFRM 100.7 FM. Craig, it's great to see you. How are you doing?
Thank you. I'm doing great today.
Glad to hear it. When did you first get into the radio business, incidentally?
Back in 2001.
How?
And that's when we first started the station. Well, it was always a dream of mine to own a radio station, and did a little bit of engineering, did the application to CRTC back in 2000, and 2001 we were granted an application for a developmental station to go on the air at whopping 1.8 watts.
108 watts. So that would basically...
1.8 watts.
Oh, 1.8 watts.
Yes.
So what would that do? Get you maybe to the end of the street or what?
Yeah, just to the downtown core, and that was it. It was an experimental. Soon after that, we went to 50 watts and just kept increasing power. We back in 2009, we went to high power at 27,500 watts. And when I first received my first electrical bill at high power, I was totally shocked, and that's when I started actively pursuing green energy.
So it was that sticker shock of that first electricity bill that got you into that, is that right?
Oh, yes, definitely, definitely.
Huh. And how far does your signal go now, incidentally?
So right now we are broadcasting just on the outskirts of Sudbury, Ontario, and Sault Ste. Marie down as far as Parry Sound. And with the new tower that we're expected to put up at the end of this year, we're going to be drastically increasing that range.
So when you got the sticker shock of that electricity bill, what did you do?
Well, it forced me to reevaluate our position. And one thing I realized really quickly was all broadcasters have the same thing in common, which is they have a stick on a hill outside of a community, usually in a very windy spot, and they burn vast amounts of energy. So it made sense to go to a wind turbine at our tower site.
And how much was the wind turbine?
The initial cost was about $19,000.
Where'd you get that?
We bought it from Southwest Wind Energy out of Southern Ontario, was one of the distributors, but the manufacturer is from the U.S.
Okay. Any special hoops that you had to jump through in order to be able to put up a wind turbine there?
Not really, only because it was considered a residential appliance because it was a micro wind turbine. So the blade span was about 12 feet, and it sits on top of a 45-foot monopole tower.
So I guess everybody can see it for quite some distance. Is that right?
You know what? It blends in with the tower, with the broadcast tower at 300 feet. So, you really don't notice it.
So that was my next question. People don't think it's an eyesore?
No, they don't. Not on a small wind turbine.
Okay. Any complaints about it?
None whatsoever. Never had a complaint about it.
Is it noisy?
And in when you're standing underneath it, yes, you do, because the blades spin at a much higher RPM than on the industrial wind turbines.
Okay. And how much electricity does it generate?
So we've offset our electrical costs by about $1,500 to $1,800 per month. It depends on how windy it is.
Huh. Okay. And are you actually at the point now where you're generating enough electricity from that turbine to actually feed back into the grid?
No, not. Unfortunately not. Our plans are when we build a new tower at the end of this year, we're going to put in another 4 turbines. So we're going to have a total of 5. And we're going to go to a net metering project. And basically what we'll do is the excess energy will go onto the grid.
Okay. I understand as well that you've got some other environmental initiatives that you've taken. Something about reusing deep fryer oil from restaurants?
Yes. So what happened was we run an outdoor music festival known as Manitoulin Country Fest. And at the end of the festival, from all the fryer trucks, there was probably about 30 containers of waste oil that went into the landfill site. And I just thought that was a horrible waste. And what can I do to correct that? So I basically started my biodiesel project back in 2014. And I take all this waste vegetable oil and process it, and I run a diesel electric generator. So our studio and our server farm for the radio station is actually running on 100% waste vegetable oil.
So let's just understand this. All of the electricity that you need to run 2 radio stations in Little Current on Manitoulin Island, how much pollution are you creating?
It's interesting when you run a biodiesel generator. For example, if you're looking at a standard generator, you smell the exhaust fumes. It's full of carbon. It almost knocks the wind out of you. But biodiesel, you could take a whiff of the air, especially it's 100% biodiesel. It has no odor. You smell a bit of French fries, but that's it. And it doesn't seem toxic at all. You don't even see the fumes.
So you're running a pure green radio operation, is that right?
That's right. So what we do is we run the biodiesels during the daytime for 12-hour shifts. We build up basically a credit with Hydro One because the excess energy that we don't use goes onto the grid and helps power houses in our area. And at nighttime, we shut the generators down and we run off the credits.
Do you know of any other radio stations that are doing this?
No, none whatsoever.
Is it an option for others?
Yes, it is. It's having a staff that has the knowledge to be able to put it together and to maintain it and run it. So that's going to be a stumbling block for a lot of stations.
Did you grow up as an environmentalist?
I've always been one of those people that I hate seeing waste, and I like to see things recycled and reused. And I've always been kind of a fan of older electronics, and I have a collection of old antique radios that I've refurbished. One of them is actually in our studio that I've reconditioned. It actually is an FM receiver.
Huh. Because, I mean, just a little background here. You and I met on Manitoulin Island this past summer, during which time you told me about what you were doing. And of course, the sticker shock you experienced several years ago to get you into this is something that I'm hearing from many people in Northern Ontario. They just think that the electricity rates have gone off the charts. So I guess the final question is, how do you feel about the fact that you're all green these days?
Yeah, it's amazing. We've taken a $900 electric bill, which is just for the studio, and we've dropped that down to $53 a month. And at the tower site, currently it was about a $3,500 bill, and we're shaving between $1,500 and $1,800 off of that. But once we get all the wind turbines up at the new tower site, that bill will be probably close to zero.
So more profitable and less polluting. What's not to
That's
like,
correct.
eh?
And then the advantage of that is we can take that money that we save and we put it into employees. So we hire more staff.
Interesting. Craig Timmermans, it's awfully good of you to join us from Little Current on Manitoulin Island, the owner and operator of 100.7 FM, CFRM, and Country 103. Good to see you again, Craig.
Thank you very much.
Help TVO create a better world through the power of learning. Visit TVO.org and make a tax-deductible donation today.